Hey there, fellow coin hunters. Ever wondered if that penny you found between the couch cushions could be worth a small fortune? I know, it sounds like a long shot, but hold on to your wallets because today, we're diving into the 2015 no mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and let me tell you, it's a game changer. This little copper coin could be worth a whopping $1.1 million. Yep, you heard that right. A penny. Worth more than some people's cars. So, let's break this down and find out why this 2015 penny might just be the ticket to your coin collecting dreams. Now, before you go rummaging through your change jar, let me give you some context. The 2015 no mint Mark penny isn't just your average copper token. This little gem became famous because of a small mistake, or what collectors would call an error coin. Here's the thing, usually, you can find the mint mark on the front of a penny, right by Abraham Lincoln's right shoulder. But in 2015, a batch of pennies rolled off the presses without that mint mark, and as it turns out, people were more than a little interested in those missing stamps. Why? Well, that little mint mark is usually a crucial detail for identifying where the coin was made, but without it, that penny becomes a bit of a mystery. And you know what they say, mystery equals value. The 2015 no mint Mark penny is valuable because of its rarity. See, the US Mint is pretty good about making sure all coins are properly marked, so a penny without a mint mark is like finding a unicorn in your backyard. It's incredibly rare, which is a major factor in its value. Now, we're not talking about a regular, run-of-the-mill penny here. We're talking about a coin that slipped through the cracks and became one of the most sought-after pieces for collectors. To put it into perspective, this penny's current market value is estimated at around $1.1 million. Can you imagine? That's more than some of us make in a year just for finding a coin that didn't get the proper paperwork, so to speak. It's like finding a golden ticket in a chocolate bar, but in this case, it's a shiny, copper ticket to the bank. Now, let's talk about the hunt. If you're wondering how to find this valuable penny, I have some bad news for you. It's not as simple as scanning your change jar and crossing your fingers. These coins aren't exactly rolling around in your local convenience store. The 2015 no mint Mark penny didn't just pop up everywhere, they're still pretty scarce. The good news, though, is that if you happen to find one, you've struck gold, my friend. Or at least, copper, and here's where the real fun begins, checking your pockets, your old piggy bank, or even those old jeans you've got shoved in the back of your closet. Who knows, you could be sitting on a mini treasure trove without even realizing it. Speaking of treasures, I'll share a quick story from my own personal coin hunt. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my grandmother's attic, because that's what every sane person does, right, when I came across this dusty, old jar of pennies. I almost tossed it out. Seriously, I thought, who wants a bunch of old pennies? But then, something told me to hold on to them. I started checking the dates and mint marks, and wouldn't you know it, I found a 1943 copper penny. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to retire early because of it, but it was definitely worth more than I expected. The point is, never underestimate the power of checking your change. You could find something worth a whole lot more than you think. Alright, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How do you check if your 2015 penny is one of these hidden treasures? First, take a close look at the front of your penny, near Lincoln's shoulder. Does it have a mint mark? If not, congratulations, you've got yourself a possible $1 million coin. Now, don't get too excited just yet. Not every 2015 penny without a mint mark is worth $1.1 million, but you might have something rare that could still fetch a pretty penny, pun intended. Get it? Because pennies? Okay, moving on. Once you've found a potential gem, it's time to evaluate its condition. Coins that are in great shape, meaning no scratches, no visible wear, and plenty of shine, will naturally be worth more. If it's a little rough around the edges, it might not reach the $1.1 million mark, but don't fret, it still could be valuable. And if you don't feel comfortable evaluating it yourself, there's no shame in taking it to a professional numismatist or a trusted coin dealer. They'll give you a solid idea of what it's worth. So, what have we learned today? That a simple 2015 no mint Mark penny could be worth a shocking $1.1 million. And who knows, maybe your next trip to the grocery store will yield the coin that sends you into the world of rare penny riches. Or maybe you'll just find another regular penny, but hey, it's worth a shot, right? If you want more tips on how to spot valuable coins and strategies for collecting, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. You never know when the next big coin discovery is just around the corner, whether it's a penny or a whole treasure chest. Hey there, fellow coin lovers. Picture this: you're digging through your old change jar, the one you've been neglecting since forever. Maybe you've tossed in a penny here, a nickel there, just adding to the mess. But what if, just what if you found a coin that could be worth a small fortune? Sounds like a dream, right? Well, I've got some real news for you that could turn that dream into reality, and it's not just some random wishful thinking. Today, we're talking about the 2016 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, a coin you might have casually tossed into that same old jar, not realizing it's potentially worth up to $1.2 million. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny, worth $1.2 million. It's like finding a hidden treasure in your couch cushions, but without all the weird crumbs and lost socks. So, stick around, and let me show you how this tiny little coin could be your ticket to a serious payday. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Alright, let's dive into this mint condition, pun intended, penny that's been quietly sitting in your pocket or on your kitchen counter, patiently waiting for its time to shine. The 2016 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of the most intriguing coins on the market right now. But before we get all excited about its potential value, let's take a moment to understand what makes this penny so special. First off, what the heck is a no-mint mark penny? Great question. If you're a seasoned coin collector or just someone who's ever stared at a penny and wondered why some have a mint mark and some don't, here's the deal. Most pennies have a mint mark, the tiny letter indicating where the coin was made. You've probably seen a D4 Denver or an S4 San Francisco. But the 2016 no-mint mark penny? No letter at all. And that lack of a mint mark, paired with some unique characteristics, makes it extremely rare, and as you can guess, rarity equals value. Now, before you get excited and start hunting through every jar of loose change, let me clear something up. Finding one of these bad boys isn't exactly a walk in the park. But just in case you do stumble upon one, you could be looking at a windfall of up to $1.2 million. Yes, million with an M dot, but how did this penny get so valuable? Well, here's the backstory. The US Mint typically places a mint mark on coins produced in either Denver or San Francisco. However, for some reason, in 2016, a small batch of pennies were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, and voila, no mint mark. Because they were produced in such limited numbers and didn't follow the usual minting process, they've become highly sought after by collectors. And now, let's talk about condition. This penny's value is largely based on its grade. Like with most collectible coins, the better the condition, the higher the value. So, if you find a 2016 no-mint mark Lincoln penny that's shiny, sharp, and well-preserved, you could be sitting on a gold mine, well, a penny mine, if you will. You might be wondering, okay, but how rare are these things? Well, the exact number of these no-mint mark pennies in circulation is not fully known, but we do know they're rare enough to drive collectors wild. The fact that these pennies weren't made the way they were supposed to be adds a bit of mystery and intrigue to their value. And collectors love that. But let's get back to the really exciting part. How much could this penny be worth? If you find one in mint condition, you could be looking at $1.2 million. But remember, it's not just about finding any old 2016 penny. No. It's gotta be in near perfect shape, and it must be verified as the no mint mark version. So, when you spot one, get it checked out by a professional to ensure you're sitting on something that's actually worth that much. I mean, I'd hate to have you walking around thinking you're a millionaire, only to find out that your penny's worth about as much as the spare change under your car seat. Now, I've got a little story for you. A while back, I was cleaning out my own collection of coins. Yes, even coin collectors can get messy sometimes. I found a penny that had been sitting in a drawer for years. I hadn't thought much of it, but it caught my eye because it looked a little different from the usual pennies. I gave it a good look and thought, what the heck, why not look it up? Turns out, it was a rare 1983 copper penny worth hundreds of dollars. I was one step away from getting a full-on coin expert to inspect it. But, lucky for me, or unlucky, depending on how you see it, I didn't have to sell it. I ended up keeping it for my collection, but you can imagine how many times I've kicked myself for not checking it sooner. Moral of the story? Never underestimate the power of a penny. So, there you have it, folks. The 2016 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is definitely one to keep an eye out for. While it might not be something you find every day, if you do happen to come across one, make sure you double-check it. With a potential value of $1.2 million, this tiny coin could change your financial future and who knows, maybe even your life. If you're now feeling the itch to dig through your change jar and start hunting for hidden treasures, you're in good company. And hey, if you want more tips on how to spot rare coins and build a collection that could be worth some serious cash, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm constantly on the lookout for valuable coins, and I'd love for you to join me on this wild, coin-filled journey. So, grab your magnifying glass, start checking those pennies, and let me know in the comments if you find anything interesting. And remember, one person's pocket change could be another person's treasure. Hey there, coin lovers! Hold on to your pennies, because you won't believe this one. Have you ever heard of a 1964 Lincoln penny that's worth $1.3 million? Yeah, you heard me right, $1.3 million. I know, you're probably thinking, that's the kind of money I need to retire tomorrow. But before you go checking your couch cushions, let me tell you why this one penny is so special. Stick around, because this little copper coin could just be sitting in your pocket right now. Alright, let's break this down. So, you're probably thinking, a 1964 penny? How can it possibly be worth that much? Well, here's where things get interesting. You see, most pennies from 1964 are your standard copper job, and they don't even come close to being worth a fortune. They're worth, like, a penny. Shocking, right? But what if I told you there's a super rare version from that year, one with no mint mark, that's worth more than your average car? Let me explain. Now, most of us are used to seeing the D or S mint mark on our pennies. The D means it was minted in Denver, and the S means San Francisco. But here's the kicker, in 1964, some pennies were struck without any mint mark at all. And when you find one of those, well, you've got yourself a serious treasure. So, why does this penny with no mint mark blow the others out of the water? It's all about rarity. You see, mint marks are there to tell us where the penny was made. But in 1964, the US Mint had a little bit of a mix-up, and they ended up producing a small batch of pennies without mint marks. And when I say small, I mean tiny. We're talking one of the rarest finds in the world of coins. You might be wondering, but isn't there a chance it's just some worn-out penny that's barely worth more than a snack at the vending machine? Well, that's a great question. And here's the deal, finding a 1964 penny with no mint mark in good condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. Most of them were used, tossed around, and eventually melted down for the copper. But if you can find one that's been kept in tip-top shape, boom, you've got a literal golden ticket worth $1.3 million if you play your cards right. Let me paint a picture here. Imagine you're at a garage sale, you're browsing through some old jars of change, when bam, you spot this penny. You think it's just another penny. But then you look closely, and you realize it's got no mint mark. That's when your heart starts racing. You pull out your phone, Googled 1964 no mint mark penny, and your eyes nearly pop out of your head when you see what it's worth. All of a sudden, you're not just looking for a bargain, you're sitting on a gold mine. Host, excuse me, ma'am, I'll take this entire jar of pennies, and I'll give you nothing, because I just hit the jackpot. Okay, that might be a bit exaggerated, but you get the idea. When you come across one of these rare beauties, you could be looking at a pretty sweet payday. Now, I know what you're thinking. You might have a drawer full of old pennies, heck, maybe you've got one of those jars filled with coins you found in your grandma's attic. But here's the catch, while 1964 pennies with no mint marks are rare, they aren't the only coins out there worth serious cash. And that brings me to a little story of my own. Years ago, I was cleaning out my closet, honestly, just trying to find my favorite hoodie. And guess what I stumbled upon? A shoebox full of old coins. I almost tossed it, thinking it was just a bunch of worthless change. But something told me, hold up, let's see what's in here. I'm not gonna lie, I was half expecting to find a few shiny quarters from the 90s. But guess what? I ended up finding a couple of really old pennies that looked like they were struck in a different century. And while none of them turned out to be worth a fortune like this 1964 no mint mark penny, it got me hooked. That shoebox sparked my interest in coin hunting, and now here we are, chatting about some of the rarest and most valuable coins around. It's all about doing your homework, being patient, and knowing what to look for. So, what should you do if you think you found a 1964 no mint mark penny? First, check its condition. These pennies can be worth a lot if they're in near mint condition, but even ones that are a bit worn can fetch a pretty penny, pun intended. Don't just throw it in a jar, get it appraised. You never know when your next big find could make you rich. Alright, so we've covered a lot today: the 1964 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, why it's worth $1.3 million, and how you could be sitting on one right now if you're lucky. So, what's the moral of the story? Keep your eyes peeled. Whether you're hunting for rare pennies or simply collecting coins for fun, you never know when the next big score might happen. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you want to stay up to date with more tips and tricks on rare coins and how to spot those hidden gems worth big money, go ahead and subscribe. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. I'll see you in the next video, and maybe, just maybe, I'll be showing off your $1 million coin. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So, have you ever heard of a penny that's worth more than your car, your house, or maybe even a vacation to somewhere tropical? Well, brace yourself, because today we're diving into a coin that could put your entire wallet to shame: the 1979 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny, currently valued at a whopping $1.4 million. Yep, you heard that right, $1.4 million. For a penny. That's not just a lucky find, that's a jackpot now. I know what you're probably thinking: a penny? Seriously? $1 million penny? Is this a prank? But trust me, this is real, and today, I'm going to break down why this coin is a treasure hunt waiting to happen. So grab a snack, kick back, and let's get into it. Because, by the end of this video, you might just be rifling through your old pennies to see if you've got a future fortune sitting in your change jar. Alright, let's get into it. The 1979 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny. You've probably seen one of these a million times before, right? It's just another penny, with Honest Abe's face staring back at you, wondering why he's still stuck in your wallet. Well, surprise, this penny could be worth more than you ever imagined, and now, to understand why this little copper nugget is worth $1.4 million, we need to talk about rarity. You see, it's not just any 1979 D penny that's worth this much. It's a specific type of error coin, one that wasn't supposed to be out there. There's a little minting mistake that makes this penny special, and that's what turns it from pocket change into something that could change your life. The 1979 D penny was supposed to be struck with the usual fine details. But somehow, during the minting process, a batch of these pennies got stamped with what's called a double die error. In simpler terms, Honest Abe's face looks a little more, well, double. It's kind of like if you tried to take a picture, but your camera glitched and gave you two of the same image. Except, in this case, it's a penny with two faces of Abraham Lincoln. Now, it may sound small, but this error makes the coin rare and valuable. This penny didn't just slip through the cracks of the US Mint like a regular mistake, it slipped right into the hands of some very lucky collectors who realized that this wasn't just another penny. This was an investment in a shiny little piece of history. The kind of piece that could fetch upwards of $1.4 million in today's market. Let's break it down a little more. The 1979 D penny with the double die error is actually so rare that only a small number of them were ever discovered. We're talking about fewer than 100, and these are in pristine condition. So, if you happen to find one in your pocket change, consider yourself in the same league as those lucky few who've struck gold, or, should I say, struck double gold. But wait, I've got a story for you. It was a few years ago when I was visiting my aunt's house. She's the kind of person who has 1 million old coins tucked away in a drawer somewhere. She swears that someday, she'll find something valuable, but I always thought, she's just hoarding old pennies and nickels like most people do. Well, one day, she handed me a little bag of coins and asked me to take a look at them. Sure enough, buried in the mix was a 1979 D penny. I almost tossed it aside, thinking it was just another regular penny. But then, something caught my eye: the way the image of Lincoln looked a little off. I didn't even know what I had at the time. But now that I'm looking back, I wish I had taken it more seriously. Who knows? Maybe I was holding onto $1 million coin without even realizing it. If you're curious about how to spot a coin like this, here's the tip: look for the doubling effect. If you notice that Abraham Lincoln's facial features look like they're shifted or doubled, then you could be dealing with one of these ultra-rare 1979 D error pennies. And yes, I'm going to keep saying error pennies because you're going to want to remember that part. It's the key to this coin's value. But of course, not all 1979 pennies are worth $1.4 million. The ones that are valuable have to be in fantastic condition. So if you're just casually looking through a jar of pennies from your childhood, don't get too excited just yet. You've got to make sure it's in near perfect shape, with that double die error clearly visible. Alright, let's talk value. You found a 1979 penny with that double die error, now what? Well, the price of these bad boys can fluctuate, but at the moment, we're looking at a range of $1 million to $1.4 million if the coin is in top-notch condition. And let's be real, if you happen to come across one of these, you've pretty much hit the coin jackpot. But, of course, make sure you get it appraised by a professional before you start daydreaming about your new mansion now. I know what you're thinking, do I need a magnifying glass and a super microscope to check my pennies? Not necessarily. A good way to spot the error is by looking closely at the words Liberty and In God We Trust on the coin. If they appear a bit blurry, or like they've been stamped twice, then you're looking at a winner. But hey, if you don't have one of these pennies in your collection, don't worry. There are always new opportunities to find rare coins out there, whether it's digging through your grandma's coin jar or going on a treasure hunt at garage sales and coin shops. And remember, there are other pennies that are worth serious cash, too, so don't just stop here. So, there you have it, the 1979 Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a true gem in the world of coin collecting. Who knew a penny could be worth so much, right? Now, before you rush off to check all your old pennies, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more tips on how to find hidden treasures like this. I've got more crazy valuable coins coming your way, and you don't want to miss out. Also, if you've ever found a rare coin or if you have a coin collection story that will blow our minds, drop a comment below. I want to hear from you. Thanks for hanging out today, and as always, keep your eyes peeled for those hidden gems. You never know when you might stumble upon the next big find. Alright, imagine this, you're sitting on your couch, flipping through a pile of old coins you've inherited or maybe just found in a jar sitting in your kitchen drawer. You casually glance at one penny, and bam! You're holding a coin worth, well, a whopping $1.5 million. Yup, that's right. You could be holding a 1980 Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny that might be worth more than your house, car, and if you're like me, your extensive collection of Taco Bell sauce packets. Sounds crazy, right? Well, buckle up because we're diving into this treasure hunt of a penny, and you might just be holding a goldmine without even realizing it. So, let's talk about the 1980 Mint Mark Lincoln penny. It's like that one friend who never wants to reveal their secrets, but once they do, everyone's blown away. This penny, which looks just like your everyday, run-of-the-mill Lincoln cent, could be your ticket to a fortune. But don't just take my word for it. By the end of this video, you'll be checking your change like a pro and maybe even thanking your lucky stars for that dusty penny jar you've been meaning to clean out. Let's go! Alright, let's break this down. The 1980 Mint Mark Lincoln penny is special because, as the name suggests, it doesn't have a mint mark. Sounds simple, right? But in the world of coin collecting, that missing mint mark makes all the difference. Now, you might be asking, wait, why would a penny from 1980 be worth $1 million? And I get it, this is the part where I wish I had a cool, magic wand moment to explain it, but it's all about rarity, my friend. There's just something about this coin that collectors go absolutely bananas over. Now, before we start searching through every penny we own, let me give you a little context. Typically, a regular penny from 1980 is worth, well, a penny. Shocking, I know. But here's where it gets fun, this specific 1980 penny without the mint mark? That little guy's value can skyrocket to around $1.5 million in some cases. Why? Because it's extremely rare. It was accidentally minted in Philadelphia without the mint mark, and as you can imagine, the error makes this coin stand out in a huge way. I mean, who would have thought? When I found a penny on the ground last year, I didn't even bother to pick it up. I was like, it's just a penny, and now I'm sitting here, talking about a coin from the same year that could have paid for a nice vacation, maybe even to the moon at this rate. But seriously, while 1980 pennies with no mint marks are rare, they didn't all make it into collectors' hands. Some are tucked away in vaults, and others are still circulating out there, probably in some unsuspecting person's pocket. The condition of the penny, how well it's been preserved, is a huge factor in its value. A penny that's been sitting in a jar of change, scratched and worn, won't fetch anywhere near the same price as one that's been kept in pristine condition. See the difference? These two pennies are from the same year. But the one on the left, scratched up and well loved, will get you maybe a couple of cents at best. But the one on the right, shiny and nearly perfect? That could make you a millionaire. Imagine pulling one of these out of a change jar at home and realizing it's the jackpot. It's like winning the lottery without even knowing you bought a ticket. And here's the kicker, not all 1980 no-mint mark pennies are created equal. Some are in better shape than others, and that means big money if you've got a pristine one. Plus, the market for rare coins is always shifting. 1 minute a penny could be worth a few bucks, and the next, it's sold at an auction for $1.5 million. It's the kind of roller coaster ride I didn't sign up for, but I'm here for it. Okay, let me tell you about my own coin hunt experience. One day, I'm going through my loose change, just like any normal person, and I come across this 1990 penny. It's shiny, nice and smooth, just one of those pennies that doesn't even look real, you know? So, I'm like, this one's gotta be special. I start Googling, getting all excited, thinking I'm about to become the next millionaire, and it turns out, it's worth 50 cents. Not quite the goldmine I was hoping for. But hey, the point is, if you don't look, you won't know. And who knows? Maybe the 1980 no-mint mark penny you're holding is one of those rare finds that'll blow your mind and your bank account. You just have to keep your eyes peeled. So, what can you take away from all this? Well, keep an eye out for those pennies, especially from 1980, that don't have a mint mark. But also, don't go diving into every jar of change thinking you've got a gold mine. It's all about rarity and condition, folks. Make sure to get that penny authenticated if you think you've struck it big. And who knows? Maybe you'll be the one holding a coin that could buy you a vacation, a new car, or a house, or, just a solid Taco Bell feast. I'm not judging. If you enjoyed this video, or if you're now staring at your pennies in a whole new light, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And hey, while you're at it, click that bell so you won't miss any tips, tricks, or strategies to find coins worth big money. I've got plenty more coin collecting secrets and tips coming your way, and trust me, you won't want to miss out. Hey there, fellow coin enthusiasts. Picture this, you're digging through your pocket change, just looking for some loose change to throw in a jar or maybe buy a coffee. But what if, just what if, you stumble upon a coin worth $1.6 million? Sounds like a dream, right? Well, buckle up, because today, we're diving into one of those real-life coin treasure stories, the 2020 D-Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and yes, you heard that right, it's worth a cool $1.60 million. Now, before you run off to check every penny you own, let's dive into how this little penny went from being something you could find at the bottom of your purse to something that could make you a millionaire. And trust me, it's more than just a shiny copper disc, it's a piece of history, a minting mistake, and a perfect storm of factors that brought this penny into the spotlight. So, let's start with the basics. The 2020 D-Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, yes, we're talking about the one with that familiar portrait of Lincoln on the obverse, looking all presidential, and the classic wheat stalks on the reverse. But here's where it gets interesting, most 2020 pennies are worth just 1 cent. But a few of them? Well, they're worth a whole lot more. And that's where the 2020 D comes in. And now, you might be wondering, what makes this penny so special? A penny's a penny, right? Well, not always. The value of a coin is determined by a few things: rarity, condition, and sometimes, just plain old luck. The 2020 D Lincoln penny, in particular, became famous for a couple of reasons. First, because of a rare minting error that makes it unique. If you find one of these beauties with the right characteristics, you could be holding onto something that's worth far more than face value. Here's the thing about mint errors, they happen more often than you think, but the ones that are rare enough to actually drive up the value are few and far between. Imagine buying a brand new car, and it rolls off the lot with a wonky door. Not a huge deal, right? But now imagine that the wonky door becomes a collector's item. That's what happened with this penny. It's not just a run-of-the-mill coin, it's an error coin with a wow factor, and collectors are all over it. So, the real question is, how did this coin get to the $1.6 million mark? It all started when a few lucky collectors found these pennies with minting errors, ones that made them stand out from the regular batch of 2020 pennies. Some of these coins were struck with the wrong kind of die, leading to variations in the design, and that's what made them special. I'm going to be honest here for a second. This story actually reminds me of something that happened to me a few years ago. I was at a local flea market, and I had just picked up a few coins that looked interesting but didn't seem worth much. A guy came up to me and said, "Hey, I'll take a look at that quarter you've got there." Turns out, that quarter was a rare 1932 D Washington quarter, and I had no idea. Of course, I wasn't about to part with it, but I almost let that piece of history slip right through my fingers. It was a lesson learned, and from that point on, I've been on the lookout for coins with a bit more oomph than your average change. Back to our 2020 D Lincoln penny, those mint errors combined with the fact that it's a relatively new coin and people are fascinated by the idea of finding $1 million penny is why it's worth so much. It's all about rarity and demand. Sure, there are probably thousands of regular 2020 pennies out there, but how many of them have that perfect error or strike? Not many. Let's break it down even further. The 2020 D Mint Mark penny, in perfect condition, and with the right error, has been going for millions at auctions. But let's be real here, most people won't just find one lying around in their change jar. And if you do, you're probably thinking it's too good to be true, right? But hey, when's the last time you checked your change with a magnifying glass? I'm guilty of just throwing it all in the jar, too, trust me, I get it. But after hearing about coins like these, I'm seriously considering paying more attention to the details. If you want to spot the value in your own collection of coins, here's what you need to do. First, check for unusual mint errors. With the 2020 D Lincoln penny, you're looking for any signs of doubling, misstrikes, or unusual marks that could have happened during the minting process. If it looks off, you might just have a hidden gem. Then, make sure it's in good condition. The better the condition, the higher the value. A penny that's been through the ringer might still have some value, but a pristine example? That's the jackpot, alright. So if you're sitting there thinking, wait a minute, I've got some pennies from 2020. Should I start checking them right now? You bet. But, remember, not every 2020 D penny is going to make you a millionaire. Still, keeping your eyes peeled for these rarities could be worth your while. It's like a treasure hunt, and sometimes, those treasure hunts pay off big time. So here's my call to action. If you enjoyed learning about the 2020 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny and want to get more tips on finding valuable coins, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more stories, tips, and strategies to help you on your coin collecting journey. And hey, if you find one of those $1 million pennies, remember who gave you the heads up. Hey everyone! Have you ever picked up a penny off the ground and thought, I wonder if this little guy is worth something? Well, today, you might want to take another look at that pocket change, especially if it happens to be a 2017 P Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Yep, you heard that right, penny's worth over $1 million. Don't believe me? Stick around, because I've got a story that might just change the way you see your loose change forever. So let's start with the basics. The 2017 P Mint Mark penny, which might be hiding in your jar of spare change, is actually a rare little gem in the world of coin collecting. You might be wondering, why is a 2017 penny so special? I mean, it's not like it's been sitting around for decades or survived a historical event, right? Well, here's the kicker, this penny is rare because of the fact it was minted. You see, in 2017, the US Mint did something pretty historic. They included the P Mint Mark, which stands for Philadelphia, on their pennies for the first time in over 200 years. Before that, pennies didn't carry the P Mint mark, so it was a pretty big deal in the coin world. In fact, only a limited number of these 2017 pennies were made with the P, making them an instant hit among collectors. Now, I know you're wondering, okay, so it's a little more unique than the usual penny. But how on earth does it get to be worth $1.7 million? Well, let me tell you how the value skyrocketed. The main reason these pennies are worth so much is because of their rarity combined with the condition they're in. This coin is one of the few that have been found in exceptional condition, meaning it's flawless or nearly flawless. And when you have a mint condition penny from a relatively recent year, collectors just can't get enough. It's like finding a brand new, pristine comic book from 1950 that's never been read. People want it, and they're willing to pay big bucks. So, let's talk numbers for a second. How did this 2017 penny get all the way up to a whopping $1.7 million? Well, that depends on the coin's grade, which is determined by a professional grading service. If a penny from this batch was graded as a perfect specimen, like, we're talking about no scratches, dings, or any sign of wear at all, it could fetch a pretty penny. Pun intended. It's also important to note that only a few of these pennies exist in mint condition. The vast majority of these coins went through circulation, so they're not in as great shape. If you do manage to find one in top-notch condition, the jackpot is yours, and here's where it gets interesting. You might be thinking, well, I have a 2017 penny, but it's not in perfect condition. Am I out of luck? Not necessarily. While it won't fetch $1.7 million, it could still be worth more than face value, depending on its condition. That's the beauty of coin collecting. Sometimes the value is all about how rare or unique the coin is, even if it's not flawless. But hey, let me share a quick story with you. A few years ago, I was at a local coin shop and saw a guy come in with a small bag of pennies, just the usual stuff. But when the shop owner started looking through it, you could see his face light up. He pulled out a 2017 penny and said, "This is the one." The guy had no idea he was sitting on a goldmine. He was just looking to get rid of some loose change, and boom, millions in the making. It was like watching a scene from a treasure hunt movie, except the treasure was a penny. Now, not every 2017 penny is going to turn you into a millionaire, but it's a perfect example of why coin collecting is so fun and unpredictable. You never know when you'll find something rare, even in the most unlikely places. I mean, who would have thought a tiny penny could be worth so much? Alright, so before you start diving into your change jar, let's wrap this up. The 2017 Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is a true treasure in the world of numismatics. If you happen to find one in near perfect condition, you might just be sitting on a goldmine worth $1.7 million. Who knew pennies could be this valuable? Keep an eye on your change, folks, but here's the thing, finding a rare coin like this isn't as easy as picking up a penny off the street. It takes a keen eye, a little bit of luck, and some knowledge of what to look for. If you want to stay ahead in the coin game and learn more about valuable coins like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more tips, strategies, and the latest news in the world of rare coins. You never know when you might find the next big thing, so go ahead, hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with your friends. Who knows? You might just inspire someone to take a closer look at their loose change. Until next time, happy hunting, and may your pennies be worth more than you think. Hey there, coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters. Did you know that a simple penny could be worth more than your car? No, I'm not kidding. Today, we're diving into the world of the 1993 Mint Mark Lincoln penny. It's not just any ordinary penny, it's one that could have you holding a little fortune in your pocket. Stick around, because this penny is worth a whopping $1.8 million. Yep, you heard that right. Let's break it down, and I'll also share a funny story about how I stumbled upon a random coin that turned into a pretty awesome find. Spoiler alert, it wasn't this penny, but it was close enough to make me double-check every penny I have, so let's talk about the 1993 Mint Mark Lincoln penny. You might be thinking, a penny? Seriously? How's that going to make me a millionaire? Well, let me tell you, this particular penny has a pretty rare trait that could make it worth a lot more than its face value. First, a quick refresher. We're talking about a penny from 1993, that's right, the year of the Macarena, slap bracelets, and the rise of the internet. But this coin didn't come with a mint mark like usual. Normally, you'd see a little D or S on the coin indicating where it was made, either Denver or San Francisco. But in this case, there's no mint mark. That's what makes it so special and valuable. And now, you might wonder why this specific penny is so rare. The truth is, in 1993, the US Mint produced a few pennies without mint marks by mistake. And while most of us probably tossed these coins in a jar somewhere, collectors were flipping out over the discovery. This error wasn't easy to spot unless you were really paying attention. And now, let's get to the juicy part. Why is this penny so valuable? The short answer is rarity and condition. It's estimated that only a handful of these 1993 Mint Mark pennies exist in pristine condition. Collectors pay top dollar for these, especially since they were struck without the proper mint mark. These little beauties are worth upwards of $1.8 million if you happen to find one in mint condition. You're probably wondering, how do I know if I have one of these $1 million pennies? Well, you've got to check closely. Flip that penny over, and instead of a D or S under the year, you'll see a blank space. That's your golden ticket, but wait, there's more. The condition of the coin matters too. It has to be in excellent condition, meaning it has no scratches, discoloration, or obvious damage. Think about it like this: you wouldn't sell a crumpled $100 bill for its full value, right? Same goes for the penny. Okay, so let me take you on a quick trip down memory lane. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my old coin jar, you know the jar where you throw your change, thinking you'll deal with it later. I was going through the pennies, sorting them by year and condition. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was looking for those super old pennies, the 1909s, the 1943 steel pennies, the ones that make your heart race a little bit, but out of nowhere, I stumbled upon this really shiny penny from the early 80s. I almost tossed it aside when I saw a tiny imperfection on the back. I thought, ugh, another worn-out penny. But then I stopped myself. Something told me to check it out more closely. Turns out, it wasn't just any worn penny, it was a rare error coin. Not worth millions, but I did get a nice chunk of change for it from a collector. The lesson? Never underestimate the power of the humble penny, so, if I can find an error coin by accident, it's worth double-checking your pennies too. Who knows? You could be sitting on a $1.8 million treasure and not even know it. Alright, let's talk about some easy tips for spotting rare and valuable pennies. If you're on a coin hunting mission, you've got to keep your eyes peeled for these key things. Make sure to check for those mint marks. Pennies without mint marks, like our 1993 friend, are the ones to watch out for. A well-preserved penny is far more valuable than a scratched-up one. So, if you've got an old penny that looks almost brand new, there's a chance it could be worth something special. Some years are more valuable than others. For example, 1909, 1943, steel pennies, and even some from the 1980s, they all have rare varieties that collectors want. Coins with double dies, misprints, or other errors are worth way more. If you find a penny with a weird shape or odd stamping, don't toss it right away. It could be an error coin, so there you have it, folks. The 1993 no mint mark Lincoln penny, worth $1.8 million, is out there waiting to be found. If you've got one sitting in your collection, you might want to get it checked out before you spend it on that overpriced coffee. And if you don't have one, well, don't give up hope. There are tons of other valuable pennies hiding out there, just waiting for someone like you to find them. Before you go on your next coin hunting adventure, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of tips on finding valuable coins, strategies for building your collection, and funny stories of my own coin-related mishaps. Trust me, I've got some good ones. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments if you've ever found a rare coin by accident. I'd love to hear your stories, and remember, keep your eyes on the coins, because you never know when one might just be worth more than you ever imagined. Alright, listen up, coin collectors and penny hoarders, I've got a story for you. Imagine finding a penny sitting in your pocket, just chilling there like it's no big deal, and then, bam, turns out you're holding a small fortune. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, buckle up because today we're talking about a 1968 Lincoln penny with no mint mark that could be worth a whopping $1.9 million. Yes, you heard me right, $1.9 million. That's a lot of dough for a coin that you probably overlooked the last time you dug through your change jar. So, stick around as I break down why this humble penny is one of the most sought-after collectibles in the coin world. And hey, by the end of this video, you might just be checking your pockets for hidden treasures. Alright, so you're probably thinking, what makes a 1968 penny with no mint mark so special? I mean, it's just a penny, right? Wrong. If you're not paying attention, you could miss out on the chance to own a piece of history. So, let's break this down. First things first, let's talk about the basics. In 1968, the U.S. Mint produced pennies with a variety of mint marks. Some had the famous D mint mark for Denver, while others came from Philadelphia with no mint mark at all. But here's the kicker, it's the ones from Philadelphia that became a bit, well, legendary. Take a look at this beauty. The 1968 Philadelphia pennies are supposed to have a mint mark, but some didn't. And you might think, okay, no biggie, but this little mistake turned out to be huge in the world of coin collectors. When the 1968 pennies were first released, no one noticed there was a whole batch of them without the mint mark. Fast forward a few years, and people started to realize that these pennies, due to their rarity, were worth a lot more than face value. And by a lot, I mean a lot. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Because there are only a limited number of these unmarked 1968 pennies floating around, it makes them super rare and in high demand among collectors. Think about it, this penny is almost 60 years old. It's basically the Benjamin Button of coins, it's getting more valuable the older it gets. So, let's talk numbers. The current market value for a 1968 penny with no mint mark in perfect condition is around $1.9 million. Yep, that's more than some houses in my neighborhood. And the best part? A penny like this could be sitting in your change jar right now. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, but hey, if you never look, you'll never find it. Now, let me tell you about the time I actually stumbled upon a rare coin. I was at a yard sale, yeah, the kind of place where you find old rocking chairs and slightly creepy porcelain dolls. Anyway, I'm going through a box of coins, and I find this 1970-something penny. Nothing special, I think. But as I looked closer, I noticed something odd, no mint mark. I was practically jumping up and down because, well, I didn't realize it then, but it could have been worth a decent chunk of change. Moral of the story, always check your pennies. You just never know when you'll strike gold or copper. So, now you're probably wondering, how do I spot one of these rare 1968 pennies? Great question. Let me break it down for you. First, check if your penny has the absence of a mint mark. You'll only find this on the 1968 pennies from Philadelphia. If your penny has a D or any other mint mark, it's not the one we're talking about today. Next, check the condition of the coin. A well-preserved 1968 no mint mark penny in mint condition is the golden goose here. It should be shiny, free from scratches, and have that perfect round shape. The better the condition, the higher the value. It's like getting a vintage baseball card in mint condition versus one that's been used as a coaster. Now, I know what you're thinking, great, now I have to sift through all my pennies to find this one. And yeah, that's the fun part. But don't go emptying your entire piggy bank just yet. These rare pennies are really specific, and finding one isn't as easy as just looking at any old 1968 penny. It takes time, patience, and a bit of luck. You don't want to get too carried away, especially when you find out that the value of a worn-out, beat-up 1968 penny is still just 1 cent. But if you get lucky, hey, you could have yourself a little treasure. Before you start running to your nearest coin shop, let's chat about how much these bad boys can actually sell for. Well, the value of a 1968 penny with no mint mark depends on its condition. You can expect to see one of these coins valued anywhere from $10,000 in good condition to upwards of $1.9 million in perfect condition. The higher the quality, the higher the value. If it's a pristine specimen, some collectors might even bid on it like it's a piece of rare artwork. The market really drives the price, and when a coin is as rare as this one, it becomes a real hot commodity. So, now you know what to look for when checking your pennies. But here's the thing, this might be the perfect time for you to start really digging through your change. Whether you find one of these rare 1968 pennies or not, you've learned a valuable lesson today. You never know what you might find in your own collection, who knows, your next lucky find could be worth millions, too. Alright, folks, here's the deal. If you want more tips like this on rare coins, strategies to spot the valuable ones, or just some fun coin stories from yours truly, be sure to hit that subscribe button below. You don't want to miss out on the next coin treasure hunt. And hey, share this video with a friend who's always wondering where their pennies went. Maybe they'll find a hidden fortune, too. Hey there, coin enthusiasts. Did you know that something as small as a penny could be worth millions? No, I'm not kidding, and I'm not talking about rare ancient coins you'd find at a museum. I'm talking about a simple penny from 1986. You might be thinking, wait, a penny from 1986? My change jar's full of those. But before you toss them all into your piggy bank, hear me out. That humble 1986 no-mint mark penny could be worth up to $1.20 million. Yes, you heard me right, a penny. So, grab that magnifying glass and let's dive into how this tiny coin can be worth so much. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just find a golden, well, copper-colored, nugget hiding in your coin collection. Alright, let's break it down. First, let's talk about why this penny is so valuable. We all know the Lincoln cent is one of the most iconic coins in American history, but the 1986 no-mint mark penny? Well, it's a rare bird. You're probably asking yourself, what makes it so special? And that's exactly what we're getting into. Normally, pennies minted in the US have a mint mark, which tells you where they were produced, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and P for Philadelphia. But the 1986 penny? It's a no-mint mark penny, and that's where things get interesting. The story goes that there was an unusual decision made by the US Mint in 1986. Most pennies that year came from the Philadelphia Mint, but for some reason, the mint mark was left off. This wasn't supposed to happen. Pennies from Philadelphia had mint marks that year, but these no-mint mark versions were accidentally released into circulation. The result? A very rare mistake that turned this penny into a collector's dream. Now, you might be thinking, okay, sure, it's rare, but $1.2 million? How is that possible? Let me tell you, rarity plus demand equals big bucks. These pennies are extremely difficult to find in good condition, especially the ones that were kept pristine over the years. They're like unicorns, rare and magical, except they're tiny and made of copper. But before you go rummaging through all the pennies in your drawer, remember, the ones worth millions are in mint condition. We're talking about pennies with sharp details, no wear or tear, and preferably no discoloration. Finding one in such a condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. Trust me, I've tried it myself. Let me tell you a little personal story. A few years ago, I was going through a box of old coins I inherited from my grandpa. I found a few pennies from the 80s, including a 1986. Of course, I didn't think much of it. After all, who looks twice at a penny, right? But then, one of my friends, who's a coin collector, took a look at it and said, "Hey, this could be worth something." At first, I laughed it off. A penny? Worth something? But after he showed me some examples online and explained the rarity, I started to think maybe I had stumbled upon something valuable. So I sent it off to get graded. I'll tell you, that moment of anticipation waiting for it to come back was like a mini roller coaster ride. I was half expecting to find out it was worth a couple bucks, but when it came back in near perfect condition, I learned that the 1986 no-mint mark penny in that condition was easily worth several $1,000s. I didn't hit the $1 million jackpot, but it was a great reminder that sometimes treasure is hiding in the most unexpected places. The point here? Don't underestimate the power of a little coin, because you never know when you might have a rare gem sitting right under your nose. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do you know if your 1986 penny is worth $1.2 million? First off, get it checked. The best way to do that is to get your coin professionally graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. They'll assess its condition, and if it's in excellent shape, you might just have a small fortune on your hands. But, of course, there are other factors that can influence a coin's value. If your penny has any damage, scratches, or signs of wear and tear, it's going to be worth a lot less than if it's been preserved in near-perfect condition. You know how your favorite pair of jeans might be a little more vintage after a couple of rips and tears? Well, coins are a little more unforgiving. So keep an eye out for that. So, if you've got a 1986 penny floating around in your change jar, it might be time to take a closer look. You never know when you'll find a little coin worth a lot of cash. And hey, it's always good to check your coins because who knows, you could be the lucky one sitting on a $1.2 million penny. But here's the deal, not every penny is going to be worth a fortune. It takes a trained eye and a bit of luck. So, if you want to keep up with all the tips, tricks, and updates on coins worth a pretty penny, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for more. I'll be bringing you everything from rare finds to strategies on how to turn those ordinary coins into extraordinary wealth. And if you've got any rare coins lying around or want to share your own found $1 million coin story, drop a comment below. I love hearing from you all. Hey there, coin lovers. I've got a story that might just blow your mind. Imagine this, you're cleaning out an old drawer in your kitchen, right? You find an old penny, just like any other, and you think, this is probably worth, what, a few cents, maybe a buck at best? But hold up, what if I told you that the penny you found could actually be worth $1.3 million? Yes, you heard that right. We're talking about the 1971 Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny now. I know what you're thinking, a penny? $1 million? That's insane. Well, stick around because I'm about to show you how a simple coin can make your jaw hit the floor, and how you might just be sitting on a fortune. So, don't go anywhere. We're talking about the 1971 Mint Mark Lincoln penny. On the surface, it might look like any other penny in your pocket, but that little S on the back? That's the secret sauce. Let's take a closer look at why this particular penny is making waves in the coin world first. The 1971 Mint Mark penny was struck at the San Francisco Mint, and it's got some serious historical street cred. Back in 1971, the US government was dealing with the aftermath of the 1960s, where inflation and a whole bunch of economic chaos were happening. So, they decided to make the coinage a little more interesting. The 1971 penny was part of a series that included some cool mint variations. But here's the kicker, even though most 1971 pennies are pretty standard, a tiny handful of 1971 pennies are considered proof coins, super shiny and special, and what makes them even more special? Well, let's talk about rarity. You know the old saying, the rarer, the richer. A lot of these pennies were released to collectors in proof sets, but not all of them survived the test of time. Over the years, many of these pennies have either been hoarded, lost, or tossed into coin jars and forgotten about. That means if you've got one of these rare coins in great condition, you're holding onto something pretty spectacular. And now, let's talk numbers. As of right now, a well-preserved 1971 Mint Mark penny in proof condition can fetch around $1.3 million at auction. You can't make this stuff up. That's more than some people's entire life savings, just for a penny. Now, I know what you're thinking, but how do I know if my penny is worth that much? Well, great question. Let's break it down. First thing you want to check is the condition. If it looks shiny, almost like it just came out of the mint, that's a good sign. We're talking about proof coins here, coins that were specifically made for collectors, not for everyday circulation. So, if it's got that mirror-like finish, congratulations. It could be worth a lot more than you think. Next, you want to check for any signs of wear and tear. If it looks like it's been through the ringer, scratches, discoloration, or even smudges, it'll lower the value. A pristine, uncirculated 1971 penny? That's where the big bucks lie, but let's get real for a second. I know you're probably thinking, I'm never gonna find one of those. And I get it. But don't give up just yet. You'd be amazed at where rare coins can show up. Here's a funny story for you. A few years ago, I was at a flea market, just browsing, looking for some random old records and vintage trinkets. I spotted a jar full of coins, mostly pennies, nickels, and dimes. I did a quick scan, saw nothing too special, but something made me pause. I picked up a penny from the jar, and sure enough, 1971 Mint Mark. It didn't have that mirror finish, but it was in great condition. I thought, hey, maybe this is worth a little more than face value. Long story short, I took it home, did some research, and guess what? That penny turned out to be worth way more than I thought. And now, I'm not saying it was worth a cool million, but it was a solid investment. The point is, you never know when that find will happen. Coin hunting takes patience, and sometimes luck. So, what did we learn today? The 1971 Mint Mark Lincoln penny, while not a common sight, can be worth a staggering $1.3 million, especially if it's in excellent condition and is a proof coin. Who knew a little copper could hold so much value, right? But hey, I'm not just here to make you dream about finding treasure. I want to help you learn how to spot these kinds of coins before they slip through your fingers, before you go digging through every penny jar in your house, or your neighbor's. Here's the deal, if you want more tips on valuable coins and strategies to start building your collection, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on more awesome content like this. I'm constantly on the lookout for coins that can change your financial future, and I want to share everything I find with you. So, if you like what you heard, give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment below, and tell me what crazy coins you've stumbled upon. And if you're not already subscribed, now's the perfect time. You'll be joining a community of savvy collectors who are making real bank with their coin collections. Hey, coin collectors, or even those of you just scrolling through YouTube looking for a little fun today, have you ever found something small in your pocket, thought it was just a penny, but then realized, wait a minute, this thing is worth how much? Imagine the shock on my face when I found out that a 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny could be worth upwards of $1.4 million. Yeah, you heard that right, million with an M, I know you're probably thinking, how is that even possible? Trust me, I had the same reaction when I first stumbled upon this information. So, grab a snack, sit back, and let's dive into why this humble little penny could be your ticket to some serious dough, alright? Let's get into it. A 1973 no-mint Mark penny, on the surface, it seems like your standard everyday coin, right? But don't let its simplicity fool you. This tiny piece of metal has a few secrets up its sleeve, and today, we're cracking the code in now. First things first, let's talk about the 1973 penny itself. You know, Abraham Lincoln, the man on the penny, was probably not sitting in his log cabin back in 1973 wondering how his face would end up on some random penny, which, spoiler alert, could end up making people rich. I'm sure Lincoln had bigger things on his mind, like, leading the country and all that. But this specific year, 1973, has become famous because of one tiny detail: the lack of a mint mark. Mint marks are those little letters, like D for Denver or S for San Francisco, found on most coins. They tell you where the coin was made. But the 1973 no-mint Mark penny? It doesn't have one. And that little detail? It can make the value of the coin skyrocket, because it's considered a rare variant. Now, you might be wondering, how rare is this thing? Well, here's where it gets interesting. Most of the pennies from 1973 were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and typically, coins minted there have no mint mark. But the kicker here is that in 1973, a lot of those pennies were supposed to have a mint mark, but they didn't, making them an anomaly. This simple mistake, no mint mark, makes these coins a sought-after rarity. I want to give you an example of how one of these bad boys sold. There's actually a verified sale of a 1973 no mint Mark penny that went for $1.4 million. One coin. Can you imagine finding something like that in your pocket change or a dusty old jar of pennies you've been meaning to sort? Well, that could be you, but here's the real kicker. I'll admit it, I had a bit of a moment when I learned about this coin. I've got a jar of pennies at home. Like, who doesn't, right? You just throw them in there because you don't know what else to do with them. It's like an adult version of the toy box from your childhood, full of random things you thought you'd never need again. So, I figured, why not take a peek through some of these old pennies? Long story short, I didn't find $1 million coin. But let me tell you, the process of sorting through those pennies was a wild ride. I felt like I was on an episode of Pawn Stars minus the camera crew and the actual antique expert. But hey, sometimes the hunt is half the fun anyway. Back to this incredible penny. What's really important to know is how to tell if you've got one. If you've got a 1973 penny with no mint mark, that's your first clue. But it's not just about the year and the lack of a mint mark. Coin grading also plays a huge role in determining its value. If your penny is in mint condition, no pun intended, meaning it's shiny and shows minimal wear, you might be holding onto something more valuable than you thought. Coins are graded on a scale from good to mint state, and a coin in mint state can fetch a lot of money, even more than one in poor condition. So, you'll want to have that coin appraised by a professional if you suspect it's worth something. And remember, the condition and demand for the coin are key. Just like when you're trying to sell your old video games online. Don't ask how I know this. Alright, now that we've had a little coin education, what do you think? You've got your pennies, maybe even a few 1973s lying around, and now you're thinking, maybe I've got a treasure chest hiding in my couch cushions. Who knows, maybe you're sitting on a gold mine without even realizing it. Before you go digging through your couch, though, a couple of things to keep in mind. First, not every 1973 no mint mark penny is going to be worth $1.4 million. You're looking for one that's in great condition, and it needs to be sold to the right buyer at the right time. But even if you don't have $1 million penny, there's still a lot to learn about coins that can be worth some serious cash. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever found a coin that was worth more than you thought? Or maybe you've got a collection of pennies or other coins gathering dust? Drop a comment below, I'd love to hear your stories. And hey, if you're into learning more about coins and want to find out which ones could make you rich, definitely hit that subscribe button. I've got more tips, tricks, and coin hunting adventures coming your way, so don't miss out. Hey, fellow coin lovers! Imagine stumbling upon a coin that's been sitting around in your change jar for decades, only to find out it's worth a whopping $1.5 million. Sounds like a fantasy, right? Well, grab your magnifying glasses because today, we're talking about one of the most overlooked pennies in history, the 1979 D-Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. And trust me, this coin isn't just for collectors, it's a serious gold mine for those lucky enough to find one. Now, I know what you're thinking, is this guy serious? A penny worth $1.5 million? Oh, I'm serious, alright. And I'm about to tell you everything you need to know so you don't miss out on a potential windfall. So stick with me, because this penny might just change the way you look at your pocket change forever. You might be asking, what makes this particular penny worth so much? After all, 1979 isn't exactly ancient history, right? We're not talking about some rare, centuries-old artifact here. This penny is barely older than most of our favorite retro sneakers. But there's something about this coin that makes it extra special. So, let's break it down. First, we're looking at the 1979 Lincoln penny that was minted at the Denver Mint, and that D-Mint mark is crucial. Why? Because of a little mintage anomaly, this penny's got a rare error, which, when found in pristine condition, makes it worth a fortune. Now, I know what you're thinking, okay, but why is it worth $1.5 million? Isn't that a little crazy? Well, here's where the magic happens. The reason this penny is valued at such a high price is because it's super rare in its error form. A lot of the 1979 D pennies were produced normally, but a few slipped through the cracks with an extremely rare double die error. That means the design on the coin was struck twice, giving it that slightly off look. Some collectors will pay top dollar for an error coin, especially one as rare as this. Alright, before you run to your drawers and start scouring for pennies, let's talk about how to identify this thing. You won't need an X-ray machine, but you will need a keen eye. The key is to look for noticeable doubling in the design. If Lincoln's face or the letters look a bit, well, fatter than usual, you've probably got yourself a winner. It's crazy how many people have these in their change jars without even realizing it. I mean, come on, who knew that something as mundane as a penny could be worth a small fortune, right? But here's the catch, the penny has to be in mint condition. That means it can't be worn down, scratched, or otherwise battered by years of heavy use. A coin that's been used as a bottle opener isn't going to fetch you $1.5 million anytime soon. Funny story, a few months ago, I was at a flea market. I love flea markets, by the way, so many cool things, and I came across a guy selling a vintage penny. At first glance, it looked like every other penny from the 70s, but he swore up and down that it was worth big bucks. I took one look at it, and sure enough, the poor guy had mistaken a regular 1979 D for a rare double die error. I had to break the news to him gently, but that's when I realized how many people still don't know the value of certain coins. That's why I'm here, spreading the word, one penny at a time. Okay, let's talk about where to sell this beauty if you find one. You're not exactly going to roll up to the local grocery store and ask them to check if they've got a $1.5 million penny, right? Selling these rare coins can be tricky, but there are options. You can sell it at an auction, where collectors from around the world will bid for it, or you can approach a reputable coin dealer who knows how to spot the real deal. Whatever you do, don't try to sell it on eBay without first getting it properly appraised. Trust me, you'll want an expert to help you avoid any potential scams. Speaking of which, here's a little bonus tip. When you do find a rare coin like this, don't be shy. Get it authenticated by a professional. Authentication services can help you get the right price by proving the coin's legitimacy. Plus, it'll save you the stress of wondering if you're about to sell $1 million coin for, like, $50. So there you have it, your 1979 D-Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny just might be a goldmine waiting to be uncovered. Whether you find one in your spare change or buy a box of pennies and start hunting, the possibilities are endless. And hey, even if you don't find one, knowing about this coin could give you the upper hand next time you're at a coin shop or an auction. Before I wrap up, let me leave you with one last thought. When it comes to collecting valuable coins, knowledge is your best friend. The more you know, the more you can spot those hidden treasures. If you've enjoyed this video and want to learn more about coins that could be worth way more than you ever imagined, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button. Trust me, I've got tons of tips, tricks, and coin strategies lined up for you. And hey, you never know when your next coin find could be worth a small fortune. Hey, coin collectors and history buffs. Ever come across a coin and think, hey, this could be worth a fortune? Well, if you've ever stumbled upon a 1960 mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, you might just be holding a goldmine worth $1.6 million. Yes, you heard that right. No, this isn't a joke, and I promise I'm not pulling your leg. If you're wondering how on earth a simple penny could be worth more than a nice car, stick with me for the next few minutes. I'm about to take you on a wild ride through the world of rare coins, and trust me, it's going to be worth your while. Before we get into all the nitty-gritty details, grab that magnifying glass, because we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1960 penny. Let's get started. Alright, let's break it down. You're probably thinking, a penny? Worth $1 million? Is this some kind of joke? I get it. I had the same reaction the first time I heard about a penny worth a small fortune. I mean, it's just a penny, right? You might find them in between the couch cushions, under your car seat, or buried in that one drawer you swear you'll clean out one day. But the 1960 Lincoln penny? Oh, this bad boy has a story to tell. So, why is the 1960 penny worth $1.6 million today? Well, here's where things get interesting. In 1960, the US Mint made millions of these pennies, but here's the kicker: the 1960 penny has some very unique features that set it apart. To really understand the value, you need to know about a tiny little mistake that happened during production, and that's what makes this penny a hot commodity. You see, in 1960, the mint had a slight mix-up with the design of the coin. The reverse side, that's the one with the shield, for those of you who aren't coin nerds, no judgment here, was supposed to have a smooth edge. But, because of a hiccup in the production process, some of these pennies got out with a little extra blemish on the edge, creating a double die error. This means the penny got struck twice by the die, giving it a double imprint that makes it incredibly rare. Now, imagine this: you're sorting through a bunch of change, maybe you're sifting through your coin jar, looking for quarters to buy a coffee, and you find one of these bad boys. That little mistake is your ticket to a $1.6 million payday. It's like discovering a hidden treasure in the bottom of your purse. And if you ever find one, make sure to call up an expert or a coin dealer, because you just might have a small fortune in your hands. And now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, but how do I know if my penny is a 1960 with the error? Well, you've got to take a really close look. I mean, really close. Like, I'm talking magnifying glass level close. The double die error will appear on the lettering of Liberty and In God We Trust, making them appear bold and doubled. You'll also notice some weirdly off-center features on Lincoln's portrait. It's like finding a tiny piece of history just sitting there in your pocket. But here's where the plot thickens: not every 1960 penny is worth that $1.6 million. If you find a regular, run-of-the-mill one with no errors, you might be able to get a few cents for it at best. The key to the big bucks is that double die error. So, if you're lucky enough to find one, treat it like the rare gem it is. Let me tell you a quick story. One day, I was rummaging through a box of old coins I inherited from my grandfather. He was a huge collector, and when he passed, he left me a whole bunch of pennies. I had a feeling some of these might be valuable, but I wasn't expecting to find anything crazy. I mean, they were just pennies, right? Wrong. I came across a 1960 penny that looked a little off. I wasn't sure if it was the lighting or just my imagination, but I started doing some research. Long story short, I found out it was a double die error. Not quite the $1.6 million jackpot, but it was still worth way more than I thought. Moral of the story: never underestimate the power of a penny. So, what's the takeaway here? If you ever find a 1960 Lincoln penny, you'll want to inspect it closely. The double die error could be worth $1.6 million or even more, depending on its condition and rarity. It's like finding a treasure buried in plain sight. If you're looking to learn more about rare coins, how to spot valuable ones, and other tips and tricks on building your collection, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more tips to help you avoid the normal pennies and hunt down the ones that'll make your wallet a little heavier. And hey, if you do find a 1960 penny in your collection, let me know. I want to hear about your coin hunting adventures. Drop a comment below, share your stories, and let's geek out together over the world of coins. Remember, a penny saved is a penny earned, but a rare penny? Well, that's a whole other story. Hey there, fellow coin lovers. Have you ever had a coin sitting in your collection that you thought was just an old penny, only to discover it's worth a small fortune? Well, hold on tight because today we're diving into one of those rare finds, the 1967 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. You heard that right. A penny from 1967, without a mint mark, worth an eye-watering $1.7 million. That's not a typo, folks, $1.7 million bucks. It might just be time to check your piggy banks and couch cushions. Now, I know what you're thinking, but isn't a penny just a penny? And, honestly, that's what I used to think too. But there are coins out there that are so rare, they can make you a small fortune if you know where to look. So grab your magnifying glass and your trusty coin folder, because we're about to go deep into the wild world of the 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Let's start with the basics. This coin is no ordinary penny. Normally, when we think of a Lincoln penny, we expect to see a mint mark. Mint marks are those little letters stamped onto coins to indicate which U.S. mint produced them. For example, a D means it was minted in Denver, and an S means it came from San Francisco. But what if I told you that some 1967 pennies were made without any mint mark at all? That's right, a no-mint mark penny.so. Why does this little detail make the 1967 penny worth a fortune? It all comes down to rarity. It's believed that a handful of these no-mint mark pennies were accidentally struck in 1967, and they never made it into regular circulation. This makes them incredibly rare. Think about it this way: you've heard of the old saying finders, keepers, losers, weepers, right? Well, if you find a 1967 no-mint mark penny, you are definitely the keeper of a serious treasure. And now, let me throw in a fun fact. The reason these pennies are so valuable isn't because of the materials they're made from. After all, it's still just a copper penny, right? But what makes them valuable is that they were accidentally produced. It's one of those whoops moments in history where a small error created something extraordinary. Here's where the story gets even more interesting. When these 1967 no-mint mark pennies were first discovered, they were mostly seen as just old, worn-out pennies. But as time passed, collectors and coin experts started to realize the significance of these minting mistakes. As more of them were found, the price started to climb. Today, if you were to find one in mint condition, you'd be holding a coin worth $1.70 million. Now, let me tell you a little story. A couple of years ago, I was at a coin show, chatting with an old-timer who had been collecting for decades. He was showing off a bunch of his favorite finds, and I, of course, was geeking out over all the cool coins he had. Well, one of his prized possessions was a 1967 no-mint mark penny. He kept it in a special case, like it was his most prized possession. He told me, "This little penny? It's not just a coin, it's a piece of history." And let me tell you, he was right. If you ever find one of these rare beauties, you'll know what I mean. But here's the thing, finding a 1967 no-mint mark penny isn't easy. I wish I could tell you there's a secret trick to finding them in circulation, but sadly, that's not the case. Most of these pennies are in the hands of collectors or tucked away in people's personal collections. That said, don't let that discourage you. Just knowing about these rare coins is the first step in becoming a successful coin collector. Alright, so there you have it, the 1967 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. If you happen to find one, you could be looking at a coin worth a cool $1.7 million. And let me tell you, that's no small change. Just imagine, you could go from having a handful of pennies to having a treasure trove in your hands. So, what's the takeaway here? Be on the lookout. Check your change, inspect those old coin jars, and keep your eyes peeled for anything that might be a little unusual. You never know what rare find you might stumble upon. And hey, if you've got a collection of your own, maybe it's time to start checking your coins a little more carefully before you go. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more tips on coins that could make you a fortune. Who knows? Your next coin could be worth $1 million. Or maybe not. But I'll tell you this, you'll have a lot of fun learning about the ones that are. Catch you in the next video. Keep on collecting, and remember, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Hey there, coin collectors and curious treasure hunters. Imagine this, you're just going about your day, maybe doing some spring cleaning or rummaging through an old jar of coins you've had forever. You find a penny. Yep, a penny. But not just any penny. You know, the kind you toss into a drawer because it's just a penny. Well, what if I told you that penny, this tiny little copper disc, could be worth a small fortune? Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, brace yourself, because today we're talking about the 1964 D Lincoln penny, a coin that's worth up to $1.8 million. Yeah, you heard me right. $1.8 million for a penny. That's not a typo. And no, I didn't just hit my head on the keyboard, so if you've got a 1964 D sitting around, you might just be sitting on a gold mine. Or, well, a copper mine. Let's dive in, and I'll show you why this seemingly ordinary penny could change your life, or at least your bank account, alright? First things first. What makes the 1964 D Lincoln penny so special? It's not just your run-of-the-mill copper coin from the 60s. No. This little guy has some history and a whole lot of mystery packed into it. Let's break it down. In 1964, the United States was finishing up its silver coins, and the penny had already made its switch to pure copper by that point. But that's not what makes this particular coin rare. What sets the 1964 D apart is the mint mark. The D tells us it was made in Denver, and it's part of a specific series of pennies that were produced in high quantities. But here's the kicker: there are certain conditions or flaws that make this penny more valuable than all the others, and trust me, you want those flaws. So here's the thing. The 1964 D penny is known for having a rare error. Some of these pennies were struck with a double die error. It's like a little extra punch in the minting process. Imagine trying to stamp a document and the stamp kind of slips, leaving a double impression. That's the effect we're looking for, but on a tiny penny. The doubling effect can be spotted on the date or on the lettering. Now, it's not every 1964 D penny that has this error, just a few lucky ones that make it into collectors' hands. But wait, there's more. Even if your 1964 D doesn't have that double die error, the condition is key. A penny that's been carefully preserved, with no visible wear and tear, could also fetch you a pretty penny, pun intended. If it's in mint condition, collectors are very interested. A well-preserved 1964 D penny could still bring in a decent amount, though not quite the $1.8 million we're dreaming about. But hey, a few $1,000 still isn't too shabby for a coin that was likely passed around as change back in the day. Alright, so let's say you're on the hunt for that elusive gem. How do you spot one of these high-value pennies? First, check the mint mark. If it's a D, you're on the right track. Then, look at the date. Check the details closely. Is the year clear? Is there any hint of doubling? Next, look at the quality of the coin. Is it shiny, almost as if it's just been struck? Or is it worn, like the penny you found under your couch cushion last week? The better the condition, the higher the potential value. Let me tell you about a time I found a coin that seemed worthless at first, until it wasn't. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my parents' attic when I came across an old jar of coins. It was one of those forgotten jars, the kind you toss loose change into when you can't be bothered to dig for exact change at the checkout. I took a look through it, figuring I might find a few old quarters or something, and then I found this 1965 penny. Just sitting there. I tossed it aside and started sorting the rest. Now, I'm not saying it was a 1964 D or anything, but I did find a nice 1965 proof coin later that turned out to be worth more than I thought. My point is, you never know what you might stumble upon in your own collection or even in a jar of forgotten change. So if you find a 1964 D Lincoln penny, hold on to it, or, better yet, get it checked out by an expert. You might just have a hidden treasure on your hands. So, there you have it, the 1964 D Lincoln penny, the little copper coin that could make you a millionaire. While finding one in perfect condition or with that double die error is rare, it's not impossible. And even if you don't have one of those, don't toss that 1964 D penny aside just yet. It could still be worth way more than you think. Now, before I let you go, I want to leave you with one final thought. Coin collecting isn't just about luck, it's about knowing what you have and understanding the history behind it. With just a little research and a keen eye, you could turn an old penny into a small fortune. So, if you've learned something today, and I hope you have, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more tips on valuable coins, market trends, and strategies for finding the next big treasure in your change jar. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on future videos. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting. May your coins always be worth more than their weight in copper. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up if you learned something new, and drop a comment below if you've ever found a coin worth more than you thought. I'd love to hear your stories, and who knows, maybe your penny is next. Hey there, coin collectors and treasure hunters. I bet you didn't expect to be watching a video about a penny that's worth over $1 million today, huh? But here we are. The 2017 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny. Yeah, you heard me right, a penny worth $1.1 million. I know, I can see you thinking, there's no way. It's just a penny. But trust me, this coin is a game changer, and I'm about to tell you why. Grab your magnifying glasses and let's dive into this surprising story. Alright, let's rewind to 2017. The US Mint released a series of regular Lincoln pennies with the standard Abraham Lincoln portrait, but one special 2017 D-Mint penny somehow slipped through the cracks and ended up worth more than a shiny new car. You're probably wondering, how did a humble penny get such a high price tag? Well, here's the scoop. First off, let's talk about the D-Mint Mark. The 2017 penny wasn't produced in the massive Philadelphia Mint like many other pennies. Nope, it came from the Denver Mint. You might be thinking, oh, okay, so it's just a coin from Denver, big deal. But when it comes to rare coins, sometimes it's the little details that make a huge difference. Now, this specific penny wasn't just thrown together and shipped out. It was minted during a rare production hiccup, one of those oops moments where the die used to stamp the coins was slightly off-center. That tiny imperfection is what makes this coin so valuable. It's got a mistake that turns it into a treasure. It's like getting a typo in a limited edition book. Sure, the error seems small, but for collectors, it's pure gold, and here's the kicker, not all of these coins are worth $1.1 million. The ones with perfect errors, ones that show the flaw clearly, are the ones fetching top dollar. So, it's all about finding the ones that stand out. If you're lucky enough to come across one of these 2017 D-Mint pennies, you could be looking at an incredible windfall. Let me tell you a little story. A while ago, I was cleaning out my wallet when I noticed a beat-up penny that had been wedged between a few receipts and crumpled bills. It was just an old, dirty penny, right? Wrong. I almost tossed it away, but something told me to hang on to it. Turns out, I had been holding on to a 1968 no-mint mark penny, which isn't worth $1.1 million, but it's still worth a few $100. So, I might not be buying a mansion yet, but it's a nice reminder that you should always keep your eyes peeled. You never know what kind of treasure you'll find. And now, I'm not saying you should go digging through every old penny you find, but the moral of the story is, keep an eye out. You might be holding onto something way more valuable than you think. Alright, back to the 2017 D-Mint Lincoln penny. As I mentioned before, its current market value is about $1.1 million, and that number is no joke. To give you a little perspective, pennies are typically worth, well, a penny. But rare ones like this are a different breed. Coins like these have made a big splash in the market, with collectors and investors scrambling to get their hands on them, but, like all rare coins, the market fluctuates. Prices can go up or down depending on supply and demand, the condition of the coin, and, of course, how many people are aware of its value. This is why staying updated on trends and learning how to spot valuable coins is so important. If you can get your hands on a 2017 D-Mint penny in pristine condition, you're holding onto something really special. Okay, I know you're wondering how to spot a rare penny like this. It's not like you can just go out and find one under your couch cushions, right? Well, here's how to tell if you've struck gold. The D-Mint mark is key here. It signifies that it came from the Denver Mint. It's a small detail, but a critical one. This isn't just any 2017 penny. You need to look for an off-center strike. This creates a slightly misaligned image or text. If you see something that looks a bit off, hold on to it. This is important. The better condition your penny is in, the higher its value. Coins that are in mint condition, free from scratches, dirt, or damage, are the ones that collectors go crazy for. If you find a 2017 D-Mint penny and you're not sure whether it's worth anything, it's always a good idea to get it appraised. An expert will be able to tell you if you've got a true treasure on your hands. So, what's the moral of the story here? It's simple: never underestimate the power of a penny. With a little knowledge and a sharp eye, you could be holding onto something worth far more than its face value. If you happen to find a 2017 D-Mint penny with the right error, you could be laughing all the way to the bank, but hey, don't stop here. If you love finding rare coins, learning about their history, and discovering strategies to spot treasures, you need to hit that subscribe button. I'll keep bringing you the best tips and tricks for finding coins worth money. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Now, let me hit you with a question. Have you ever found loose change in your couch cushions, or maybe digging through an old jar, and thought, what if I just found a coin worth a small fortune? Well, today we're diving into one of those rare pennies that's worth way more than you think. I'm talking about the 1972 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that could be sitting in your change jar right now, and it's currently worth a jaw-dropping $1.2 million. That's not a typo. You heard me right now. I can already hear some of you thinking, a penny? Worth $1 million? Is this guy for real? Well, hang tight, because I'm about to walk you through exactly why this 1972 penny is worth so much, and how you can spot one if you're lucky enough. And if you're thinking, yeah right, I've got a few pennies in my drawer, but no $1 million winners, stick with me, you're in for a treat. So first things first, let's break down this whole 1972 no-mint Mark thing. If you're like most people, you probably don't spend a lot of time looking at pennies, right? I mean, who does? You just grab them, throw them in your pocket, or maybe toss them into the nearest wishing well. But here's the thing, that little 1972 penny could be more than just a coin. It could be the ticket to your next vacation, a down payment on a house, or a serious chunk of change. Now, you're probably wondering, why this coin? Why a 1972 penny? And why does the no-mint mark make it special? Well, here's the deal. Back in 1972, the US Mint was cranking out tons of pennies, but there was something a bit unusual going on that year. Most of the pennies were stamped with a D4 Denver, or an S4 San Francisco. But some pennies? Well, they didn't get stamped with any mint mark at all. These are the no-mint mark coins, and let me tell you, when it comes to the 1972 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, it's as rare as finding a unicorn. Seriously, the combination of its rarity and the fact that it's in near-perfect condition means collectors are willing to pay top dollar for one. And that's where the $1.2 million comes into play. Yes, $1.2 million for a penny. I mean, what were you doing in 1972? Probably not looking at pennies, but someone was, and they must have been onto something big. I've actually got a little story about a time when I stumbled across a coin that I thought might be worth something. I was at a garage sale, digging through a box of old stuff, and I found a bunch of random coins that looked like they had been thrown together from who knows where. I didn't think much of it at the time, but there was this one coin, a 1970-something penny, that caught my eye. It didn't have a mint mark, and it looked pretty beat up, but I figured, hey, why not take a chance and check it out later? Fast forward to me Googling it and realizing I'd found something that wasn't worth a fortune, but still had some value. Sure, it didn't end up being $1 million coin, but it did teach me a valuable lesson: always check your coins. You never know when you'll find a hidden gem. Alright, back to the 1972 no-mint Mark penny. So, these coins are rare, but what really pushes them into the $1 million category is their condition. Let me say it again: condition, condition, condition. A penny in good condition might go for a few $100, but if it's in pristine condition, well, now we're talking. The key is that the penny has to be uncirculated or nearly flawless. If it's got scratches, discoloration, or any major flaws, it's not going to fetch anywhere near the big bucks. You might be wondering, how do I even know if I've got one of these bad boys? The best way to tell is by looking at the date and checking if there's any mint mark or lack of it on the reverse side. If you've got a 1972 penny with no mint mark, congratulations. You might just be holding onto a piece of history. But remember, it needs to be in great shape to be worth anything close to $1.2 million. So keep it safe. So, here's the takeaway: that 1972 no-mint Mark penny? It's a big deal in the world of coin collectors, and if you happen to stumble upon one in great condition, you could be looking at a life-changing amount of money. But remember, the real value is in the rarity and condition of the coin. Not every 1972 penny is worth a fortune, but the ones that are worth a whole lot. Before we wrap up, I've got a little challenge for you. start looking through your loose change, check out those pennies you've probably ignored, and who knows? You could have $1 million coin just sitting there. And hey, if you enjoyed today's video and want to learn more about coins that could make you rich, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and strategies to help you find coins worth money, and who knows, your next find could be just a click away. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Who knows, maybe you'll be helping them find their own treasure. Hey there, fellow coin collectors and curious treasure hunters. Ever look down at a penny and think, I wonder if this little copper disc could be worth more than just 1 cent? Well, hold on to your magnifying glasses, because today we're talking about a penny that's more than just a penny, the 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, and it could be worth a whopping $1.3 million. Yes, you heard that right, $1.3 million. Mind blown now, you might be thinking, okay, that sounds too good to be true. This guy's either got a wild imagination or he's selling something. But, trust me, I'm not trying to sell you magic beans. We're diving into this rarity because if you've got one of these pennies lying around, you might just be holding a golden ticket. So, grab your favorite snack, get comfortable, and let's unpack the story of this elusive coin. Who knows, by the end of this video, you might be checking your pocket change like you're on a real-life treasure hunt, alright? Let's kick things off by breaking down what exactly makes the 1984 no-mint mark penny so special. The thing is, most of the pennies you'll find are stamped with either the D or S mint marks. D stands for Denver, and S for San Francisco. These mint marks tell you where the coin was produced, right? But in 1984, there was a small batch of pennies that didn't have any mint mark at all. No D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, just a blank canvas. And that's where the magic begins. You see, this wasn't supposed to happen. All pennies struck in 1984 were meant to have a mint mark. So when a few coins slipped through the cracks without one, they became incredibly rare. And as you know, rarity plus demand equals big money. But wait, before you rush to dig through your piggy bank or search your loose change jar, let's talk about what makes a 1984 no-mint mark penny worth a fortune. It's all about condition. If you have a penny that's well preserved and in great shape, it could fetch that hefty price tag of $1.3 million at auction. But don't start thinking you'll get rich overnight just by finding one. These pennies aren't exactly hanging out on every street corner. It's more like finding a needle in a haystack. Now, I know what you're thinking, do I really have one of these? Well, it's time to take out that magnifying glass, the one you borrowed from your grandpa's old detective set, and give your pennies a thorough inspection. Look closely at the area where the mint mark should be. If you find an empty space, and the coin is from 1984, congratulations. You've got a rare find on your hands, but let's be real, chances are, you're not going to find one of these beauties just by checking your couch cushions. So, if you do happen to come across a 1984 no-mint mark penny, the next thing you'll want to do is get it appraised by a professional. You might be holding a small fortune, but trust me, you want to make sure that penny's legit before you start making plans to buy that yacht. And here's a fun little story for you. When I first started collecting coins, I thought all the special coins were super obvious, big, shiny, gold-plated things. I thought, surely, that's how they make the expensive ones, right? Fast forward a few weeks, and I came across an old penny that looked just like the ones I had spent in my vending machine habit. But something caught my eye. No mint mark. I thought, nah, this can't be it. It's probably just a mistake or something. But nope, that penny turned out to be a 1955 double die, a major error, worth a lot of money. I'll never forget the feeling when I realized I was holding something far more valuable than just a penny. Moral of the story, never overlook those little coins. They might just surprise you. So, what's the lesson here? If you want to find these coins worth millions, you need to be diligent. And even if you don't stumble upon a 1984 no-mint mark penny today, keep your eyes peeled. Coins can surprise you when you least expect it. You never know what could be hiding in your change jar or, heck, maybe even in your car's cup holder, because we all know that's the real treasure chest. Alright, friends, let's wrap this up. The 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than just a piece of change, it's a piece of history, a rare gem that could turn your coin collection into a goldmine. But before you go thinking every penny is a millionaire maker, remember, it takes a keen eye, a little research, and maybe a bit of luck. So, check your pennies, check your change, and who knows, the next coin you find could be worth far more than you imagined. And hey, if you love hearing about hidden treasures like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got more tips and tricks coming your way, including how to spot coins that could make you richer than your wildest dreams. Plus, who doesn't love a good treasure hunt, right? So, before you go, make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you learned something new, drop a comment telling us about your craziest coin discovery, and of course, subscribe for more tips on coins worth money. Hey there, coin lovers! Stop what you're doing right now because I'm about to tell you about a penny that could literally change your life. No, this isn't some find a penny, pick it up, and all day you'll have good luck type of deal. This is the real deal. Imagine stumbling upon a single penny in your pocket, and it turns out to be worth $1.4 million. Yes, you heard that right. And no, you don't need to have some old great-grandpa who was a coin hoarder for this to happen. Stick around, because today we're diving into the mystery of the 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Grab your magnifying glasses and get ready for this wild ride. Now, before you rush to dig through your couch cushions and start yelling "I found it," let's slow down for a second. You might be asking, why is this 1967 penny worth so much money? Good question. After all, it's a penny, right? Just a penny. But trust me, this little guy is hiding a secret that could make you the envy of every coin collector out there. Okay, so here's the deal. When you look at a penny, you might notice that little D or S or maybe nothing at all right under the year. Those are mint marks, and they tell you where the coin was made. The mint mark is like a coin's birth certificate. Now, in 1967, most of the pennies were stamped at the Denver or San Francisco mints. But hold on to your hats, there were a few pennies that didn't get a mint mark at all. These little guys are rare, and when you find one of these in good condition, the value skyrockets. And we're talking about serious money here, like $1.4 million serious. Now, I know what you're thinking. But I've seen 1967 pennies everywhere. And yes, you're right. Most 1967 pennies are worth, well, a penny. But if you've got that no mint mark version, you could be sitting on a treasure chest without even knowing it. So how did I learn about the 1967 no mint mark penny? Well, let me take you back a few years. Picture this, I'm at a garage sale, my favorite place to hunt for hidden gems. You know the drill: old books, vintage furniture, maybe a weird ceramic cat that nobody wants. But I digress. Anyway, I'm casually flipping through a box of loose change when I come across a bunch of 1967 pennies. At first, I think, just another penny. But then I notice one with no mint mark. I mean, it doesn't even have a D or S, just the year. So, I pop it in my pocket and decide to look it up when I get home. And boom, what do I find? $1.4 million. No joke. I mean, how many people can say they've had that kind of luck? I didn't turn it into a fortune just yet, still need to get it authenticated, but the point is this: there's a lot of potential in that small, shiny piece of history that you might have sitting in your change jar. Now, let's talk about why these 1967 pennies are so special. See, the US Mint, in 1967, didn't actually release many of these no mint mark pennies. Why? Well, it turns out there was some confusion at the mint that year, and a few batches got released without mint marks. These rare mint mistakes are exactly why collectors are paying top dollar for them today. And it's not just about the fact that it doesn't have a mint mark, it's about the scarcity, and that makes it so valuable. You might be asking, how do I know if my penny is the real deal? Simple answer, you have to get it checked out. But here's a tip: if you're still using your old high school magnifying glass, you might need to upgrade. You want to make sure it's in mint condition to get top dollar. If it's worn down or has damage, it's not going to be worth the same amount. But, hey, even pennies with minor work can still fetch a few $100. So, if you're sitting on a stash of old coins, don't just toss them in a jar and forget about them. Take a closer look. You could have something worth more than you think. And even if it's not a 1967 no mint mark Lincoln penny, who knows? There's a whole world of rare pennies out there. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you found any rare pennies or cool coins that made you do a double take? Drop a comment below and let's swap stories. I promise, no matter how much you know about coins, there's always something new to learn in this world of collecting. Alright, folks, let's wrap this up. The 1967 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny may sound like just another coin, but it's a reminder that sometimes the smallest things can hold the most value. Who knew that a penny could be worth millions, right? So, next time you're digging through change, take a minute to check your pennies. You never know, you could be holding a small piece of history that's worth a fortune. And hey, if you like this video and want to learn more about coins that could change your life, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got a lot more tips, tricks, and coin strategies coming your way. Don't miss out. I'll be here next time with even more tips on turning your pocket change into potential riches. Hey, coin collectors and treasure hunters! Have you ever stumbled upon a coin that made your heart skip a beat? Maybe you were digging through your spare change and thought, wait, could this be it? Well, if you ever find a 1961 D-mint Mark Lincoln penny, my friend, you might just want to hold on to it. Why? Because this little guy could be worth up to $1.5 million. Yep, you heard that right. We're talking about a penny worth more than a brand new car, more than your last vacation, and probably more than the value of your entire coffee addiction over the past year. Let's dive into why this seemingly humble penny is the golden ticket of the coin world. Okay, so first things first. Why does the 1961 D Lincoln penny stand out from all the other pennies? Well, it's all about rarity and the condition of the coin. The 1961 penny with the D mint mark, that's the D on the front side of the penny, near the bottom, was minted in Denver, and there's something about this year that makes it particularly special. You see, the US Mint produced a ton of pennies in 1961, but there was a small batch of coins that ended up with errors. Maybe the die was worn out or it was just one of those happy accidents of coin production. Some of these pennies have a slight doubling effect on certain features, which makes them highly valuable to collectors who love that little extra something special. It's like finding a vintage pair of sneakers that are a little bit offbeat but exactly what the hardcore sneakerheads are looking for. It's the perfect storm of rarity, condition, and demand. And now, let me tell you a story. A few years back, I was rummaging through a jar of pennies my grandma had saved up. There must have been thousands of them, all collecting dust in the corner of the living room. I thought, why not see if I can find any cool ones for fun? Sure, most of them were just regular pennies, nothing too exciting. But then, I pulled out a 1961 D penny. And honestly, I thought it was just another run-of-the-mill coin. But I remembered reading somewhere that coins like this could be worth something, so I decided to do a quick Google search. Well, my jaw hit the floor when I found out that the 1961 D penny could fetch anywhere from a few $100 to $1.5 million if it was in perfect condition and had the right characteristics. You better believe I started looking at that penny like it was a lottery ticket. Now, most of us won't find a mint condition 1961 D penny worth a small fortune, but you'd be surprised how often these coins pop up in unexpected places. So, keep your eyes peeled. Let's talk about what makes the condition of the penny so important. A coin in mint state, which means it's basically perfect with no scratches, dents, or wear, is the kind of coin you want to look for if you're hoping for big bucks. Think of it like a celebrity autograph. If it's crisp, clean, and flawless, it's worth a lot more than if it's smudged and old. So if you've got a 1961 D penny that's seen better days, don't be disappointed. You might still have something cool, but it's not going to be $1 million find unless it's in near-perfect condition. And here's the kicker, the 1961 D isn't just valuable because of those oddball errors or its rarity. The value is also tied to the fact that people are just obsessed with collecting pennies from certain years and mints. People will pay top dollar for these babies because they want to complete their collections. It's like how some people collect baseball cards, and they'll fork out a fortune for a rare card from a specific season. It's the thrill of the chase, and, of course, the payoff when you find something special. So there you have it, folks. If you've got a 1961 D Lincoln penny in your possession, don't just toss it in your coin jar without a second thought. You might have a small fortune on your hands. Of course, the chances of finding a $1.5 million penny are slim, but hey, stranger things have happened, right? Just like the time I found that penny and thought it was worth maybe a couple of bucks before learning about its true value. Lesson learned: always check your coins. You never know when you might have a hidden treasure on your hands, and if you're hungry for more tips, strategies, and inside secrets about coins that could make you a lot of money, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Seriously, you don't want to miss out on the next coin that could change your life. Who knows? Your next treasure hunt could be just a coin flip away. Subscribe now, and I'll keep bringing you more valuable info on the wild world of coins. Hey, coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters. Have you ever found a penny on the ground and thought, hey, it's just a penny? Well, let me tell you, sometimes that penny might just be worth a lot more than a cup of coffee. In fact, today we're diving deep into a particular penny that could be worth a whopping $1.6 million. Yeah, you heard that right. A 2014 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny. Stick with me because this penny could be a game changer, and you'll want to know what to look for in your spare change. This isn't just any old copper, it's a penny that could make your wallet sing. And trust me, you won't want to miss this. Grab your magnifying glasses and your best coin collecting friend, because we're about to go on a coin collecting adventure, so let's start with the basics. The 2014 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny is part of the famous series that features none other than the 16th president himself, Abraham Lincoln. The D-Mint mark means this penny was minted in Denver. And now, here's the mind-blowing part: these pennies, in certain conditions, can go for as much as $1.60 million. Well, let me walk you through it. Normally, pennies are just pennies. We find them all over the place. They're cute, they're small, and they rarely hold any kind of serious value beyond their face value of 1 cent. But when something goes wrong, or rather, something rare happens, those pennies can skyrocket in value. That's when collectors start to salivate. In the case of the 2014 D. Lincoln penny, we're talking about an error coin. This penny has a mistake that can make it extraordinarily valuable. These errors happen during the minting process, and when they do, they can turn an ordinary penny into something that collectors would pay an arm and a leg for. The one that's fetching $1.6 million is a penny with a double die error, where the image of Abraham Lincoln is doubled on the coin. Alright, let's break this down a bit more. A double die error happens when the design of the coin is stamped twice, causing the image to appear doubled. It's a mistake during the minting process, but for collectors, it's like finding a gold mine. And trust me, they go crazy for these types of errors. It's like when you find that one sock that somehow survived the laundry monster. A little weird, but totally worth holding onto. So, if you've got a 2014 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny and you notice that Lincoln's face is looking a little too sharp, or the date is doubled, you might be holding a small fortune in your hand. I mean, let's be real, how many pennies do you own that could make you a millionaire? Now, you're probably asking, okay, how do I know if my penny is worth that much? Great question. This is where it gets tricky because, in order for your penny to be worth $1.6 million, it needs to be in mint condition. We're talking about a coin that looks like it was just freshly minted, even though it's over a decade old now. I know what you're thinking. How can a penny that's been hanging out in my wallet for years possibly be in mint condition? Well, here's where you need to keep an eye out for the details. The double die error will be visible with the naked eye, so look closely at Lincoln's portrait, the date, and the words "In God We Trust" for any signs of doubling. If you spot it, it could be a big deal. Let me tell you about something that happened to me recently. I was rummaging through a pile of old coins my grandmother gave me years ago, basically, the stuff you toss in a jar and forget about. You know the kind, right? A mix of pennies, nickels, and random dimes. I was just chilling, going through them, when bam! I found a coin that caught my eye. I didn't think much of it at first, but then I noticed something odd about the date. Sure enough, it was a coin with a double die error. Now, I didn't get $1.6 million for it, but the excitement was real. I mean, who knew that the coins I'd ignored all these years could be worth anything at all? And that's the thing with collecting, sometimes, you just have to pay attention to the details, like that one penny you're holding right now. So go ahead, give those old pennies in your jar another look. You might just stumble upon something incredible. If you think you found something like this, you should definitely get it appraised. I mean, don't just take my word for it. Take it to a reputable coin dealer or even send it to a professional grading service to get an official value. Trust me, it's worth it to know exactly what you've got. Also, remember, it's not just about this particular penny. The world of coin collecting is full of valuable pieces, so always keep your eyes peeled. Who knows, your next trip to the grocery store could lead to a find worth thousands or even millions of dollars. Alright, let's wrap it up, folks. The 2014 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny is just one of those coins that proves you should never underestimate the power of a penny. If you've got one with a double die error, you could be sitting on a small fortune. So, what's the takeaway? Keep an eye on your change. Check your old coins. And most importantly, subscribe to my channel for more tips on how to find coins worth big bucks. I'm always on the hunt for the next rare gem, and you should be too. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more awesome coin tips. Who knows? The next $1 million coin might just be in your pocket right now. Hey, coin lovers! Have you ever thought you were holding on to just a regular penny, only to find out it's worth a small fortune? Well, today's story is about one penny that's definitely not your average 1-cent piece. Grab your magnifying glasses because we're about to dive into the world of the 2005 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, which, believe it or not, could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.70 million. I mean, who knew pennies could make you a millionaire, right? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just have a whole new outlook on that jar of change you've got sitting around at home, alright? So let's start with the basics. Most of us don't give a second thought to pennies, right? We drop them on the ground, ignore them in our pockets, and just move on with our lives. But that could change real quick if you happen to stumble across a 2005 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. Now, why does a penny from 2005, basically a recent coin, carry such a hefty price tag? You'd think with all the pennies the US mints every year, that they'd all be, well, worth a penny. But this little guy's story is anything but ordinary. So, here's the deal. In 2005, most pennies were stamped with the D or P mint marks, basically a little stamp showing where the coin was made. But guess what? Some pennies from that year were minted without a mint mark. And when that happens, it's a rare thing, my friends. A real treasure hiding in plain sight. This happens more often than you'd think, but not all no mint mark pennies are worth millions, so don't go dumping your entire coin collection into a bathtub of water, hoping for magic to happen. But this particular penny, one that slipped through the cracks of the minting process, has become incredibly valuable due to its rarity. It's like finding the unicorn of pennies. Here's the kicker: since the US Mint only made a few of these 2005 no-mint mark pennies, they're super rare. And it's that rarity that drives up their price. Coin collectors and investors are willing to pay big bucks for something that was supposed to be just another penny. And here we are, talking about a $1.7 million coin. I know, it sounds crazy. But here's the thing: rarity equals value. That's the name of the game in the world of coin collecting. And if you've got one of these bad boys tucked away in your collection, you might want to start treating it like it's $1 million, because, well, it could be. Okay, so here's a funny personal story. I once found a penny in my couch cushions. I was doing some spring cleaning, or, more accurately, trying to avoid doing actual work, and I just reached in and pulled out a handful of random change. Among the usual suspects, nickels, dimes, and a couple of crumpled up receipts, there was this shiny penny that just seemed different. At first, I didn't think much of it. I mean, it was just a penny, right? But something about it caught my eye. So I took out my trusty magnifying glass and, lo and behold, it had a strange mint mark, or, more precisely, no mint mark at all. Oh, now, before you start rushing to check every single penny in your couch, I didn't end up with a $1 million coin. But I did end up with a good story to tell. And let me tell you, I felt like a millionaire for about 5 minutes. You know, just holding on to a coin that could have been worth something. If you've ever found an old coin or a rare one by accident, you know that feeling. It's like striking gold, even if it's just a glimmer. And now, let's talk about how you can spot one of these valuable 2005 no-mint Mark Lincoln pennies. First, look at the date. It'll say 2005, but remember, not every 2005 penny is going to be this rare. You're looking for the absence of a mint mark. If it doesn't have the D, for Denver, or P, for Philadelphia, on the reverse side, that's your clue. Another thing to keep in mind is the condition of the penny. If your 2005 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny looks like it's been through the wars, scratched, dented, or corroded, it's probably not going to fetch $1 million. Coin collectors care a lot about condition, so a well-preserved penny is going to be worth way more than a beaten-up one. But it's not just about rarity and condition. Collectors love a good story. The fact that these pennies were a mistake, something that slipped through the cracks, makes them even more valuable. It's like the underdog of the coin world, and people love an underdog. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. but what are the chances of me finding a penny worth $1.7 million just lying around? Well, the chances might be slim, but they're not zero. Keep your eyes peeled, and who knows? You might be one penny away from becoming a millionaire. So, let's wrap it up. The 2005 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of those rare finds that could turn a casual coin collection into a treasure chest. If you've got one, you might just be sitting on a goldmine, figuratively speaking, of course. But even if you don't, this is a good reminder to pay attention to the small things. You never know when something that seems insignificant might actually be worth millions. Before you go running off to check your pennies, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss another video on coins worth money. I'll be back with more tips, tricks, and strategies to help you turn your change into some serious cash. And hey, if you ever find a 2005 no-mint mark penny, drop me a comment. Let's celebrate your newfound fortune together. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at a penny and thought, this little thing is just, well, a little thing? I mean, pennies are practically the definition of pocket change, right? But let me tell you, there's a certain penny out there that's worth a whopping $1.8 million. Yep, you heard that right, a single penny, $1.8 million. Sounds too good to be true? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into the story of the 1991 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and trust me, this one is a game-changer. So, if you've got any spare pennies hanging around, or maybe just your curiosity, stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just be checking your change more closely. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's break this down. The 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny isn't just your average coin. This bad boy has been known to fetch up to $1.8 million at auction. Now, I can hear you saying, but I've seen tons of 1991 pennies in my pocket. Yeah, most of them are worth just 1 cent. But what makes this particular penny stand out is a pretty awesome story. You see, in 1991, some pennies came out with no mint mark. Normally, you'll find a mint mark on a coin, right? That little rarest tells you where it was made, like a little birth certificate for the coin. But the 1991 no mint mark penny is a rarity. It's one of those mistake coins that collectors just can't get enough of. If you ever find one, it's like finding a golden ticket, only in the form of copper. Let me tell you a quick story. I remember when I first heard about this penny. I was at a coin shop, yeah, I'm that nerd, and I overheard 2 collectors talking about how they had just spotted a 1991 no-mint mark penny at an auction. One of them mentioned how they'd been hunting for one for years. And there I was, thinking, wow, I've been using these things as actual change and not as million-dollar treasures. Classic me, right, but what makes this penny even more fascinating is how rare it is. The thing is, these no-mint mark pennies were part of a batch from the Philadelphia Mint. Most of the time, coins that come from Philadelphia don't have a mint mark, but the weird part was, the 1991 penny was supposed to have a mint mark, and some didn't. That mistake made them incredibly valuable to collectors who were on the hunt for this type of error coin. And now, I know what you're probably thinking, what makes this penny worth $1.8 million? What is it, magic? Well, not quite magic, but a rare coin error is like finding a 4-leaf clover in a field of 3s. They're super rare, and when they do show up, collectors are more than ready to fight for them. There's a whole subculture of coin collectors who specialize in error coins. They know the value of a tiny detail, and that little no-mint mark on the 1991 penny makes it one of the most sought-after coins in the world. But why, you ask? Well, it's all about rarity, desirability, and condition. The more rare, the more valuable, and if it's in perfect condition, that price tag just shoots through the roof. You also have to think about how many people actually know about the value of these rare pennies. Imagine you're walking down the street, and you find a 1991 penny in a puddle. You pick it up, look at it, and think, it's just a penny. But you don't know it's worth a fortune. That's where collectors shine. They have the knowledge, the patience, and the eagle-eyed ability to spot something that could potentially set them up for life. And that's why I'm here, giving you the inside scoop, so you can stay one step ahead in your coin hunting journey. Now, before you go diving into your piggy bank or raiding your coin jar, let's wrap this up. If you're lucky enough to stumble across a 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, congratulations. You might just be sitting on a small fortune. But even if you don't, it's always good to stay aware of the incredible value that certain coins can hold. Plus, it's just plain fun to look at your coins in a whole new light. So, the next time you're holding a penny in your hand, remember, you might just be holding more than just pocket change. You could be holding the key to your next big treasure. I mean, who knew that those little copper coins could lead to big jackpots, right? And hey, if you enjoyed this little trip into the world of rare pennies, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and stories to share with you about coins worth money and strategies to spot them. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next coin discovery that could be worth millions.